Mm. I am live. I love this moment when Facebook tells me you are live. Hello, 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 my dear community. This video will be shared on my YouTube and possibly on Instagram. So I wanted to greet uh, you from wherever you are going to be joining me as a live or as a replay. And I wanted to open up this very powerful conversation about self talk and the power of the mind to determine what we're going to create in our life. I want to share a couple of stories of how I've been learning this lesson. And to me, it's an ongoing curriculum because I deeply believe without taking command of our mind, we are not really able to create a life that is a true reflection of our potential. So I'm going to take a moment to let more people join. Whoever is going to join with me, I am here in one of my favorite rooms in the house. This is the healing room where I feel the presence of ascended masters and angels and the guides that I invoke every single day. I do my practices here, I do my rituals here. So I'm really loving the energy of this room. And if you and I meet for the very first time, it's a joy to connect. Let me know in the comments your name, where you're logging in from, how you were guided to this page. For quite a few years now, I've been sharing my message online, and Facebook has been one of my probably longer platform where I've been cultivating a sense of community. And I love what social media gives us is an opportunity to be of service, an opportunity to share our voice and to inspire and to uplift others. I'm a mentor, writer, speaker, online entrepreneur. And before I arrived to this place, I used to live in Russia when it was still a Soviet Union. And I was raised by a single mother who worked very difficult labor jobs. And we always struggled, we always lived in this anxiety, what's going to happen tomorrow. And I was born in 1980, and when I was only 10, Soviet Union collapsed and entire country went through huge turbulence, upheaval. Uncertainty became the main vibration. And I feel I have something to share on this topic of how to navigate uncertainty because I've lived so much through it. And when you live through uncertainty again and again and again, you have two choices: to collapse in helplessness or to find a way to develop a very strong mind, a strong mindset, strong self talk, and to turn your situation into a process of empowerment for yourself. And, only looking back on my path, I realize everything I went through prepared me for the path of entrepreneurship and for the path of leadership that I'm walking right now. So, when it comes to developing a self talk and developing a very powerful mind, I wanted to unpack what I mean by that. Because to me, a powerful mind is not the mind that, never experiences ups and downs. The powerful mind is the mind that is equanimous, one of my favorite words. And equanimity is ability to cultivate clear, calm, and balanced state of being under any circumstances, especially difficult ones. And when we are going through what is happening right now on the planet, where every day you don't know what's going to happen next, this is of utmost importance to be able to cultivate that inner state of being. And this is why, I'm often finding myself encouraging people to create morning practice. Not just wake up and being like thrown away by the circumstances of the day, but really seize the day by establishing a very powerful beginning and establishing a very powerful morning practice is the beginning of training your mind that you are the one who determines what are you going to focus on, what are you going to envision for yourself, what are you going to let go of, what are you going to create. So to me, from my perspective, a strong powerful mind begins in the morning, where you choose what are you going to focus on, where you choose what thoughts you're going to pay attention to and what thoughts you're going to let go by questioning them, right? So this is a very powerful, stance to say, I'm going to be in charge of my morning. And if you're in charge of your morning, you're going to be in charge of your afternoon, of your evening, and so on and so on. So the self-talk is the conversation that you have with yourself on a moment by moment basis. What comes to mind when often people find my brand online or meet me at this current version, they often make an assumption that I literally always been like this. And what you see is, 20 years of dedicated self development, 20 years of shedding masks and conditions and belief patterns and ancestral wounding and choosing to write a new story. And choosing to write a new story begins with choosing to have a new conversation with my mind. Choosing to say, I'm going to focus on the possibilities instead of focusing on the obstacles. Obstacles I can't really control. The tests and trials of life will always be a part of this human experience. But what I can take charge is my focus and my willingness to see where is the possibility in this creative tension, in this opposition, in this obstacle, in this overwhelm. My least favorite word is overwhelm, because a lot of times we give this feeling of overwhelm too much of our power. And if we pause and center ourselves, we begin to remember that at any moment, life gives us just enough tension to invite a bigger growth from us. And if we stop giving that overwhelm such focus, we begin to see something different. We begin to see that life is inviting us to grow in a new way. This is what something that I wanted to address, because a lot of times I hear people say, I'm so overwhelmed, and it becomes a story. You begin to create a reality of bigger and bigger overwhelm instead of saying, I am feeling unsettled. Let me practice breath work right now. Let me sit down and pause everything and breathe and bring my higher self back into the body and let go of the story of the overwhelm that I'm holding and holding. It becomes my identity and it becomes the way that I move through life. And it stops right now. I stop believing that story. I stop cultivating a new sense of safety within, a new sense of power, a new sense of aliveness, a new sense of joy, right, darlings? So I wanted, for some reason today, I start remembering one particular moment in my life that was a crucial choice point. And we all gonna have those choice points. They're actually moments of destiny that knock on our door. When you hold a dream, you hold a vision, and you hold a deep prayer for something to come into your reality. What happens, you got to knock on the door of your life, and you're being given an experience that looks like a test to actually test you if you are truly ready for the experience that you call it in. It brings me back when I was 20. Oh my goodness gracious, I was 23 years old. And I lived in Lithuania, which, for some of you who don't know where that is, because it's a really tiny country, it's in the Baltic Sea right next to Latvia and Estonia. I was there for my second college, working on my second bachelor degree. really just looking for my path, looking for my purpose, like not being able to decide what is it what I want to do with my life. And I didn't have much resources. I was on my own since age 17. So whatever I was able to figure out on my own, that were my resources. So I pretty much bootstrapped myself since 17 in everything that I did. And when I was in Lithuania, I got partial scholarship. I was working on campus. I was tutoring kids in Russian language. And I had no money to pay for the next year of school. So I lived by faith. I was very connected to spirit. I was very connected to God. At that point, I called reality God. And faith was my major resource. Since early age, I felt really connected to the power of faith, the faith into the invisible, and being guided by that faith in all of your experiences. So I remember, okay, I just want to make sure we are, you can hear me, right? You can hear me. Okay, perfect. So I want to tell you that story because I almost never tell that story and it changed my life. It was a moment of destiny for me. And I didn't have money for the next year of school, but I knew spirit would give me an opportunity, right? And then door will open. An opportunity came because a lot of college students on my campus would participate in this work exchange program where you would apply, and if you accepted, you would get an opportunity to come to United States for the summer to work, basic low paying job. But for you as a European student, whatever you were able to work for the summer would be enough to pay for a whole year of school, right? But the program wasn't free. A lot of times, like here in America, people have access to grants, to scholarships, where at that time, 20 years ago, anything that any opportunity costed money. So I remember scraping by and putting everything I had. There was no time, there was before credit cards, right? So whatever you had, you would put on it. I remember putting everything I had on that program, and I applied, and I was very confident that US embassy would give me visa because by that time I already was in the US as a tourist and I came back. And if you know anything about, visa regulations, is incredibly challenging for a Russian citizen to come to US, because not only because of the tension that we have between the countries, but they see you as a high immigration risk, right? So, but I thought I had a very high chance to receive the visa because I kept my word the first time and I came back. So I was very confident. I was moving forward. I put all my chips on the table. I put all the money that I had into this program. And I went to the embassy to get my results because not only you got to be approved to work in the US, you had to receive visa. If you don't receive visa, everything is gone. And I remember coming to the embassy, and it was late spring. The snow was still on the road. And I was so excited, to walk through this new path and receive my visa and to get on the plane and go to Alaska where my job was waiting for me and to work hard all summer and to have money for my school. And when I was waiting for my appointment, they gave me a letter, and I was opening the letter, and and I was frozen in the moment because the letter told me that I was denied my visa. And I remember feeling like the ground shaking underneath my feet, and every single thing that led to that moment felt like it was dissolving and disappearing, and I felt like I was left with nothing. Where do I go from now? I'm 23 and I'm on my own. I put everything I had into this one opportunity, and I'm experiencing this major block, right? Major obstacle. I remember deciding to go to a little pub nearby and having a beer. I was on that phase of actually drinking, right? And I remember having a beer and um, and having a conversation with my own mind and asking myself, what are you going to decide? What are you going to decide right now? Right now, you can turn back and lick your wounds and figure out a way to recover your losses. Or you can search for another solution, because if you're truly present, there is always six possible solutions to any challenge. If you panic and get lost in the story, how you're victimized by life and life is against you, the only solution is to turn back and lick your wounds. But if I become present to the moment and I say, okay, Spirit, you're giving me an obstacle. It's one day I'm gonna tell a powerful story here. This obstacle is serving me somehow. Show me the solution. And I remember sitting there in the pub with my beer and asking for the solution. And immediately I had an idea. And I remembered because, I was filing my paperwork myself for the immigration, for the visa. I remember there was one rule in the visa process that if you are denied in one consulate, you can apply to another consulate. And you basically you can reapply and reappeal. And that was a light bulb moment for me. And I said, I can go to another consulate and I can reapply. But the challenge was the consulate was on the opposite side of country. And if you ever saw the map of Russia, it's like this big. So I was in St. Petersburg and another consulate was all the way in Vladivostok, my hometown. And at this point, I don't have any money for a plane ticket. My mom can't help. My dad is not even in the picture. Nobody can help. But I'm realizing I have money for a train, and the train is 6.5 days long. And I roll the dice and I say, I'm going to take this chance and I'm going to go all in. Again, self talk, right? I'm going to go this path, this turned unexpectedly, but I'm going to choose this courage over fear. I'm going to choose to continue because my intuition and also logic said, if life has guided me until this point and given me an obstacle to test me, I can meet this obstacle and I received an idea, received another solution. Let me keep going. So I go and I buy a train ticket and I get on the train for 6.5 days, in a simple train compartment, sharing a tiny little square with three other strangers. By the time, we're done with the train, we are all family. We got to know each other, the simplicity of that experience. But every day that would go on the train, I kept holding a strong prayer. And I would say, Spirit, open the pathways, show me the way, give me support. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I know you got me. I know you got my back. I know that obstacles are not curses. Obstacles are gifts to strengthen my spirit. Self talk, self talk, self talk, right? And I remember not allowing myself to complain, not allowing myself to complain that I'm in this cheap compartment train, right? Where it smells and it's dirty bathroom, and I am here for 6.5 days, but finding gratitude that I am in the transportation that carries me to the next part of my dream. And things are very, very simple, and I don't have much, but I have everything I need to take the next step. And to me, that's a sign of a true wealth of a spirit when you're able to turn around any limiting thoughts into empowering soul mindset, right? That soul vision, and you keep going by transforming any low frequency thoughts into I choose to keep going. I choose to believe in myself. I choose to believe that spirit got me. So 6.5 days on the train, I'm coming out of the train, and my mom and my sister meeting me. They're so excited to see me. They haven't seen me like for a year and a half. And I say, who do I go for support? I have my appointment for embassy. And again, Spirit gives me an image. Talk to this person who used to be my former boss. And I go to my former boss, and in this humility and in this vulnerability, and sharing with him that, this is my opportunity to go to get a summer job and to work all summer to pay for my college and to continue to develop myself. And if you have it in your heart to lend me some money, I believe I asked for like $300. And at this point, I worked for him for a year, and we had that level of trust and past experience. And he always had like a father figure in me for me. And he says, absolutely, I'll help you. And he gave me that money that I needed. And not only that, he picks up the phone and he says, who do we know in American embassy? Okay, that person, okay, tell him to go with Katerina tomorrow and just put a good word for her. Do whatever you need to make this happen. And next day we go, and this person who was sent to me with me, he's like, I don't think your boss understands that I really don't have much power that he think he has. I can say a word for you. I can say that you're a reliable person, that you're a trustworthy person, but that's, I don't know if it's going to make any difference. But it did, it did. We went to the embassy, and he put a good word for me, and I got approved. And within less than 24 hours, I was on the plane that was taking me to Alaska to my job. And that's another part of the story where I arrived to Alaska without realizing there was another plane for me to take. With trembling hands, I'm counting my dollars because, again, no credit card and nobody to call. And I'm counting my dollars, crippling dollars, and I'm realizing that I have just enough to pay for that plane. And what is left is $3. And with $3, I stepped on American soil, again, led by faith alone that life would not abandon me. Life is not cruel. And if I've made it this far, life will continue to show up me this provision. Life will continue to give me evidence that it can be trusted. And I remember, when they give you airplane food, and now at this place of my life, I rarely eat airplane food because, it's just filled with chemicals and it's not a good quality. But at that point in my life, I remember eating it thinking, I don't know when my next meal will be. So I'm gonna save these crackers, I'm gonna save these pretzels, and I'm gonna like tuck away. And I wanna make sure that nobody sees it, because I have that Russian pride in me. And I remember putting it away in my little backpack because I didn't know when I would eat again. But I knew something bigger than that. I knew that life would not abandon me. And I would continue being shown the proof that life can be trusted. And if I lean in that, and the only job I had to do is to keep my self talk and to say, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I am so much closer to my dream. I'm so much closer to my vision, you know? And I remember stepping off that plane and going to a place where I had my job waiting for me. And I had a little place, like a trailer for workers where everybody was staying, like a little trailer. You get little room. And again, it would be 2 weeks before I would get my paycheck. How I'm going to survive? My self-talk, trust life, trust life, trust life, trust life. And then my employer met me. He's like, oh, you're the first student arrived. Let me buy you a dinner. Before I even asked, it was provided. And again, I was at the restaurant with him that was a part of the hotel. And I remember eating my dinner, consciously slowing down, so not to show how hungry I was by that point, to preserve some dignity of character. But in my mind, all I was saying, thank you, life, thank you, life, thank you, life. I have never been abandoned by life. I wanted to tell you that story because I have so many stories like this where the deciding factor was what kind of conversation I'm going to have with my mind. I'm going to collapse in helplessness by believing frightened thoughts, or I'm going to rise above it and find the gift in every situation. You know how much it helped me in entrepreneurship path, because when you are walking the path of sculpting your own destiny, of writing a new story, of being a pioneer in your lineage, you are the person who is willing to meet more challenges and more obstacles than a person who is living as a sleeper, living as a robot, living as a zombie, you would call, right? Who never will dare to go into a path of exploration. So what looks like a comfortable existence is actually a life of pain and quiet desperation. But you are the one who is trailblazing your own path. You're gonna meet more resistance, you're gonna meet more obstacles because you are sculpting your life with your own two hands instead of people who are walking through it thinking that they are safe, right? Living on somebody else's terms and already giving up on their spirit and dying inside. So don't fear resistance, don't fear obstacles. Learn to let go of that story of overwhelm and say, my soul can never be overwhelmed. I choose to have a very powerful talk. I choose to have a very powerful mind. I choose to never stop developing my mind. I choose to develop a sovereign mind. Because a sovereign mind cannot be hijacked, a sovereign mind cannot be controlled. A sovereign mind is rooted in the sovereignty of your soul. And that nobody can take away from you. You know, you can go through incredible trial in life. I'm watching somebody on Instagram right now who I encountered on Gaia, somebody who was teaching yoga for immortality. And I saw his yoga series, and the presence of this man moved me so deeply. I was like, wow, that's an embodied teacher. Let me get to know him. Let me get to know his teachings. And I start following him on Instagram, and he is going through cancer right now. And the way this being is meeting cancer is so humbling for me. His entire message, he's documenting every part of his cancer journey. And he says, thank you, cancer. You are a gift. You're teaching me how to surrender. To me, that's that's a powerful self-talk. That's a powerful mind. That's a sovereign mind who understands we are not just the bodies. We are not just our circumstances. We are not just what happens to us. We are so much bigger. Some of the strongest souls, every strong soul I've ever met on my path, did not have an easy past. And every strong soul that I meet on my path goes through something catalyzing that stretches them into a new dimension, a new relationship with life, and a new relationship with their own mind. So I've learned to see the gift of challenges. I've learned to see the gift of, trials. And I also have learned to trust that they have a certain time, that it's a certain phase or a chapter, and then we go through it and we're given a sweet, peaceful oasis of integration. We enjoy the fruits of this expanded consciousness, resilient mind, a new vision, a new sense of empowerment, right? And a new relationship prepares you for the next stage. So I wanted to share this with you because it's really, really powerful. And I wanted to tell you the story. So I'm going to share this live stream on my other platforms. But for now, this is a reminder. Please remember that what is going on between our two ears will determine the actions that we take or the actions that we don't take. It all starts in the mind. And when you build a very powerful mind, you build a very powerful life. And true power is that power of mastery and balance, equanimity, calm, clear presence under any circumstances, especially difficult ones. Have a beautiful day.